This is the life-changing hack. It'll put a smile on your face. Hey guys, I'm Paul Daddy from Paul Daddy's Grow Science. Today we're talking about drip irrigation and specifically about assembling the tubing. And I am really talking about using the Rain Bird T22 tubing. I think this stuff is like polyethylene. It's a hard plastic. And I've got a couple of hacks that are going to help you out. But we're just going to talk about some general stuff at first, and then we will get down to the good stuff. Okay, typically the way I've decided to use my system is I use a drip stake. And I'm growing in containers, but these would work in the ground too. You put this right near the stem so you can get it directly on the roots, and your emitter's at the other end. This attaches to your main line. Dig irrigation tubing, 1/2 inch, and I buy mine at Home Depot, but it's a good size roll, moderately priced. You might want to check that out. Now, when I first got interested in using the drip stakes, it was from watching videos of some of the greenhouse guys, and that's what most of them use without exception. Well, there probably is some exceptions, but most of them use a drip stake. And the water flows through the emitter, through the hose, and then there's just a groove cut in these stakes, and it drips right down the stake. It goes into the ground. We'll go directly to the root system, so you can use less water and you can get it where you want it. So that's a good system. And you know, sometimes people are using the emitters on the end of the hose, and then you got to spend all your time trying to get them in the right place. It's a pain in the butt. So I thought I died and went to heaven when I started using the drip stakes. And so this setup right here, I bought from Drip Depot, and there's nothing wrong with that, except they're a little on the pricey side because you got to pay for your stuff and the shipping, and they're not in the discount business, or it's not your cheapest option, but they've got good quality stuff. But anyway, I set my baseline by finding out what some good stuff looked like, and then later on I decided to try to make up my own. You definitely want a valve at the end of each run, so you can flush that system out, especially at the beginning and the end of the year, or if you got any trouble, you can flush it out. These little clips that you fold them over and that forms your end, well, that's asking for trouble, because if you're going to reuse that tubing the next year, it's going to have crap in it if it's got some fertilizer residue in particular. So I would recommend against it. I like a valve at each end of each row. One at the beginning of the row, one at the end of the row. And that comes in handy numerous times throughout the growing season for me. The drip stakes, these are the ones that I used. I bought off Amazon. I don't know that they're as heavy duty as these. They're a little bit different. They've got a longer nipple on the end, and it's easier to damage that nipple too when you're trying to assemble it, especially with this hard plastic tubing. But that's part of the workaround I'm going to be showing you in just a minute. So I grow a lot of tomatoes, and all my tomatoes and peppers have drip stakes. Some of the ornamentals, like I have some bougainvillea plants, I like this adjustable stake. So you just stick it in the ground and you open the little knob on top, and it sprays out kind of I call it a spider web pattern of water, and you can adjust your flow like you need it. These work real good in those instances. So that's the two kinds that I use. And I'm usually using 1 gallon emitters. And this one's got a little gear on one end of it. It looks like it's got cogs on it, like a little gear, and the other's the routine barb. The barb end goes into your main line the way I use it. Of course, that, you know, you can use that other little connection and come off the hose from the main line and have your emitter, and it's still going to be oriented in the same direction, water coming out the gear. But I don't use mine that way. The emitter's going in the main line. So I've got a couple of tools here. This one is a hole puncher, and it's this works for 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch tubing, and it does a good job, but it's not always going to be perfect. I recommend that you put your emitter at the top of the line, and that way gives it a little less chance to leak. And whenever you're using the hole puncher, if your tubing is out in the hot sun, it gets too soft and it'll just kind of smush it, and it makes for a hard time dealing with it. In that situation, a lot of people run the water through the line while they're doing it. Now that makes it a wet job, and it also makes it hard to stick the stuff in because you're dealing with that water pressure, whatever your pressure is inside that line, but it keeps it from collapsing on you. Now hopefully today this is cool enough that I can demonstrate with you, and the way I use it, I'm going to punch it one time. If I don't feel it click, I'm just going to take it off, find the spot that I tried to punch, and I'm going to finish it with the manual puncher. Because if you keep punching on it, you're going to wind up with a hole in 2 spots or slightly offset. You're asking for trouble. So one shot and then out and deal with it. And this particular tubing is kind of oval shape. I'm not going to say all of it is, but this is. And so I like to turn it where the lengthways is running like this, give it a punch, and if it's good and cold, I could hear it click. So I know I've got a good hole in there. And there it is right there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is show you how to stick it in. And if you got a good clean hole, then and you're not working out in the hot sun, well then it's no problem. And when you go to put it in, if you hear it snap in, you're good. So if it doesn't snap, well, you know, you can always go back and punch it manually with the manual puncher. So I recommend you have this and you have this, and I'll put some links down there. I'm an Amazon affiliate. I may make a little commission off of it if you buy something. But anyway, we're going to put some links of the ones that I have. I'm not saying they're the best. I'm just saying that's what I have. And anyway, putting this emitter in here, we're just going to shove it in, and I heard it snap. It snapped right in place. And one important thing when you're dealing with the tubing, and this is just standard protocol, what you should do is make sure you get a good square cut on the end. Now this is a PEX cutter. They make drip tubing cutters. I can also cut this 1/2 inch line with it, but it does have a tendency to flatten it out a little bit while you're doing it, but it's not a deal breaker. Now, we've got various little tools that are designed to help you stick these emitters in. And I'm not saying whether you should get it or not get it, but it may be of use to you depending on what size your emitters are. And they're not all exactly the same dimensions. So you can put it in here and push it in, or you got some little groove right there, you can put it on there and push it in, or use it right there on top and push it in. So that's all an option. And I've got this other tool that's supposed to push fittings into the end of the hose. You thread the hose in and put the little fitting in here and then press it in. And I didn't have much luck doing it that way, but I decided, and I really thought about sending this back because it wasn't cheap either, but I found that it will hold that tubing for you. And sometimes I need a little more than brute force when I'm dealing with this stuff. So I'm not telling you to buy this tool. I'm saying I kept mine, and I will have some use for it. Okay, now let's get on to the good hack. The one that, this is the life-changing hack. It'll put a smile on your face. Guys, this is a number 2 by 4-inch Phillips head screwdriver. And I'm just going to use this to screw it into the end. Now if I'm putting the emitter on the end of the hose, I'm just going to go about a halfway on there. That's all you need. The gear, that's the part that goes in the hose, and you just stick it in. And that's what I'm talking about right there. It's that easy. And you know, they tell you use hot water. 140-degree water doesn't phase this stuff. Near boiling water may not phase it. I've used a heat gun on it. A heat gun can soften it up and help it to work, but also you can screw it up real fast with the heat gun because you just blow through that part where it goes south on you. So anyway, that's what we do there. The screwdriver is highly recommended, and I'm just going to cut a short piece off because I don't want to waste too much tubing. But now we got to put our drip stake on. And this little long nipple, you can bend it, so I recommend what I do. I've got the black tip on the screwdriver. I like to get it in the hose pretty much up to the end of that black tip. And you can use your little tool to hold it, if I can find the right one. Or not, you can just do it in your hand. If you're doing a bunch of them, you may get tired of doing it, holding it by hand. And also, you got a chance you could slip out of there and hurt yourself, but I'm just screwing that thing clockwise until I think I got it in there deep enough. Now that's about as far as she wanted to go. The drip stake. And that, my friend, is that easy. So it seems impossible sometimes doing it. You know, another hack they talk about is use dishwashing liquid. That makes it easier to go in the hole, but if you get it on the outside, it makes it harder to hold the hose in place while you're trying to shove it in. So that hack might help a little bit, but with this, you don't need it. But right now, I'm in the shade. I've got moderate temperatures. If you're sitting out in the sun, it may be a different deal, so you could have a little higher level of frustration. But Rain Bird drip tubing T22. They sell it in 100-foot rolls, 250-foot rolls. It is good hose. It's on the stiff side, but it works, and it'll work for many seasons. So I hope this makes your life easier. And I've got one other thing I want to show you guys. That let's say we did have a leaker, and I pull this out, and you know, they've got those goof plugs. Well, I've never had good luck with the goof plugs. I've replaced sections of line before, so I didn't have to mess with the goof plug. But I found something it's off label, but it works. And these are it hadn't got the name of it. It's little tire repair plugs. They look like a Phillips head screw. They're plastic. They come with their own little capsule to contain them. They're reasonably priced. They're cheap enough that I'll probably be using them for my repairs. But anyway, you take it out of the capsule, and it's shaped just like a little plug, and get it on that hole. Now this set that I bought, it comes with this screwdriver, tiny little screwdriver. You know, tires, you can screw them in with an impact or drill, electric drill or whatever. And I'm not even going to put it all the way down. I don't want to go through the hole. But that seals that hole perfect right there. So between the plugs plugging your hole, you don't have to use real goof plugs and look goofy using them. And the number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. That'll solve some of your problems when you're dealing with this tubing. Okay guys, if you feel this video has helped you out in any way, I want you to hit that like button, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you next time at Paw Daddy's Grow Science.